Are you talking too much? Are you taking up too much space in conversation? Do they actually care what you're talking about? In this video, I'm going to give you a technique to use at the beginning of conversation and during the conversation that will help alleviate a lot of these concerns. So, the basic premise here is to first ask for consent and then continue to check during the conversation if they're still into it. So, here's the first piece. If you're about to sit down next to someone or go talk to someone at a party or in any way invade someone else's space, you can start by just saying something like, "Hey, would you like some company? Hey, you interested in chatting?" And then they can say yes or no. But you might worry that they're going to say yes and not actually mean it. Right? So maybe they give kind of a non committal, half hearted, like, sure, I guess. Well, then you can double down and say, do you actually want to talk? I can totally leave you alone. Right? And then if they say yes again, I think the best you can do is just trust them. And if they're kind of giving two fake yeses in a row, then it's kind of their own fault, right? If they're not enjoying the conversation. Or, but if they say no, then you could say, cool, thanks so much for letting me know. Right? And no's are awesome because when someone is willing to say no to you, then that means you can actually trust them to say yes when they mean it because they're demonstrating that they're willing to actually give a no if they're a no. So then, once you're talking to someone, the basic idea is try to talk in chunks. Right? Don't just go on for 10 minutes. And if you're about to share something that feels like a big venting or like a dumping in some way, where you're kind of like really asking them to do like emotional labor for you, of kind of like holding some space or like offering empathy or like hearing your anger or something like that, it's generally a good idea to ask first there too. Right? Like, do you mind if I vent a bit? Or like, I've kind of got this like big thing that's been making me really angry lately. Do you feel open to hearing about that? And so again, they might say yes or no. They might give kind of a half-hearted yes, and then you can double check. You sure? It's okay if not. Another way of approaching this is maybe you have a story that you want to tell, and you could tell it in different ways. So you could ask, like, this thing happened to me that I'd love to tell you about. I could tell you kind of the short version or the full version. How much space do you feel like you have right now? Or how interesting does that sound to you? And they might even ask for a little more detail, like, well, I don't really know. Could you give me a headline? Like, what's this about? You could say, well, it's this like really funny thing that happened to me last weekend. And they could say, like, yeah, I'm not really in too much of a mood for funny, so maybe just give me the short version. And you could say, thank you. Yay. So when you ask these questions, you're really doing it for both of you. You're doing it for yourself so that you can feel more confident. You're not second guessing yourself, like, ooh, is this too long? Are they actually open to this? Because you already asked. And you're doing it for them because presumably you don't want this person to be suffering, right? You don't want them to feel trapped in this conversation and like they're enduring this thing that they don't actually want. So I know it's scary to ask for something where they might say, no, I don't want that. But both of you benefit if you ask, right? And this is one of those things where the more you practice this and the more no's you get, the more okay you start feeling with getting a no. Because hopefully, if you're practicing, you're getting a few yeses too. And so you're learning that no's are kind of necessary steps on the way to getting a yes. And then finally, say you're telling your longer story. It's good to just kind of pause now and then after kind of major plot points or whatever and give them a chance to ask a question or give them a chance to say, oh, that reminds me of something from my life. And then they kind of take the ball for a bit and they say something and then they pause and throw the ball back to you. And then you could kind of, change directions based on what they were saying. Or you could kind of go back to, oh, and here's what happened next in my story, right? If that still feels kind of relevant. And you're reading body language and such, of course, to try to figure out like what happens on their face when you say, "Oh, I'm going to continue my story now"? Do they kind of cringe a bit, or do they say, "Yeah, what happened next?" Right? Um, Another little trick is you can, if you have that voice in your head, like you're talking, and then you have that little ping inside yourself of like, "Ooh, maybe this is going on too long." Um, one way, of course, is to kind of read the room, check micro expressions and all that, check posture. Are they kind of like, are they looking around the room like they're looking for someone else to talk to? Or are they still kind of paying attention to you? But you can also ask something just short like, is this still interesting? Um, yeah. Or are we still good? Is this boring? If you say it with kind of like a smile on your face, like a little joke, then it can be kind of funny and fun instead of coming from like desperation, like, oh no, you're not bored, are you? Right? But if you're like, is this boring? Then it's kind of a little more fun. Um, and yeah, and then at the end, you can also check how it went. Maybe you feel like, oh crap, I talked too much, or oh god, I was too vulnerable, or oh god, I said something really cringy. They're probably super judging me right now. You could just ask something like, hey, thanks for listening. Quick question. I'm just curious, how did that land for you? Or how did that feel? Or even if you're feeling a little more gutsy, you could say something like, yeah, to be honest, I'm actually feeling a little self-conscious right now. Like I'm kind of worried that you think I'm totally weird. um, and often, people will offer you reassurance then, um, or you could just ask like, wow, that felt really vulnerable to share, or that felt kind of embarrassing. Like, was that okay? How are you feeling? Um, and maybe they won't be honest, or maybe they will say something like, uh, yeah, I feel a little uncomfortable, but it's okay. Yeah. And then you could just say, oh no, like, sorry you feel uncomfortable, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Or you could ask, is there something I could do differently next time? Or, you can have a little repair if it felt like something went poorly. Um, but in my experience, I think if you are someone who's conscientious, if you're someone who's still here, still watching in a video like this, you're probably someone who is self-aware and you are taking care of both people. And so as long as you're kind of pausing regularly and you're not just like talking straight for 10 minutes and you're not just kind of like going up to someone and immediately venting, if you are someone who's thinking about this stuff and you're careful, then I think more often than not, people will reassure you. And they'll say, actually, yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I am up for this. Or they might negotiate a little, like, you know what? I think I've got like 5 minutes left in me. Yeah, I want to like go to the bathroom soon, but yeah, I'm totally open to listen for 5 more minutes. So again, it's scary to ask that, but if you can get that consent, if you can get that confirmation, then I think it can just help you settle, help you feel okay that, oh, they said I can have 5 minutes more? Great. Now I know I can take up the full 5 minutes. I don't have to just compress it into 30 seconds. I hope that helps, and I encourage you to take a moment now and just think about what are the kind of situations that are most common where you kind of censor yourself or compress too much, and is there a way that you could practice asking up front a little more, and then asking during, and then even check after to get some feedback. How was that? I hope that helps, and I wish you a nourishing day.